Title: The Haunting of Willow House. Part 1: The Resolution. The old decrepit Willow House had always been a source of fear and intrigue in the small, remote town of Harrow's Valley. Nestled deep within a dense forest, it stood alone, untouched by civilization for decades. The townsfolk whispered tales of its sinister history, and children dared each other to approach its gates. Yet one young woman, Emily, found herself inexplicably drawn to the harmonious structure. Emily was a loner by nature, preferring the company of her books and thoughts to the bustle of her small judgmental town. Her raven back hair framed her pale face, and her emerald eyes sparkled with a hidden intelligence. An orphan since birth, she had always felt like an outsider even among her peers. Willow House, however, seemed to call out to her as if it held the answer to questions that plagued her all her life. One crisp autumn morning, Emily decided to embark on an adventure. Within her backpack filled with supplies, she set off on the winding path that led to Value House. The trees loomed overhead like ancient sentinel, their branches forming a dark canopy that swallowed the daylights. As she drew nearer to the house, Emily's heart quickened. The tales of Value House hunting echoed in her mind, but she could not turn back now. She had to know that secrets it held. When she reached the gates, she hesitated for a moment before pushing them open with a crack that seemed to pierce the silence. Inside, the house loomed before her, its walls covered in thick ivy. The once grand structure was now a crumbling relic of a bygone era. Emily's footsteps echoed in the empty hollows as she ventured further inside. Dust motes danced in the feeble rays of sunlight that managed to penetrate the grimy windows. She explored room after room, echo filled with faded remnants of a forgotten past. Old portraits stared down at her with hollow eyes, their subjects long departed from the land of living. She felt a stranger presence in the house of a heaviness that young in the air. In the heart of Value House, Emily discovered a library filled with books that had surely not been touched in years. She reached for a thick leather bound tome and blew off the dust. As she opened it, she realized it was a diary belonging to a woman named Abigail Brentwood, who had once lived in the house. Abigail's diaries told a tragic tale of love and loss. She had been deeply in love with a man named Samuel, who had mysteriously disappeared one stormy night. Abigail believed that Samuel separate still lingered within the house, and she had spent her days trying to communicate with him through sciences and rituals. Emily could not tear herself away from Derry. She felt a connection to Abigail, as if their stories were intertwined. She decided to stay in the Value House to uncover the truth about Samuel and the hunting that has plagued Abigail for so long. Part 2: The Hunting. As the days turned into weeks, Emily's isolation in the Value House grew more profound. She spent her hour poring over Abigail's diary, trying to decipher the crypto message she had left behind. Stranger occurrences became a daily routine. Shadows danced in the corner of her visions, whispers echoed in empty rooms, and objects moved on their own. One night, Emily awoke to the sound of mournful medley drafting through the house. She followed the hunting notes to a grand piano in the parlor. The piano key moved of their own accord, playing a tune that seems to carry the weight of sorrowful soul. Sumal, Emily whispered, tears glistening in their eyes. She felt as presence, a cold breeze brushing against her cheek, as if he were trying to communicate with her. She knew she had to help him find peace. Emily delved deeper into the mysteries of Willow House. She discovered a hidden chamber beneath the house, filled with ancient tombs and relics of the occult. It was here that Abigail had conducted her senses attempt to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. One stormy night, Emily decided to follow in Abigail's footsteps. She lit candles, drew symbols on the floor, and chanted incantations she had found in the dusty tombs. The air grew thick with tension as Emily called out to Samuel, begging him to reveal himself. Suddenly, the room was filled with a chilling presence. Emily's breath catched in her throat as a figure materialized before her, a spectral man with a hunted eye. It was Samuel. Emily, he whispered, his voice filled with his anguish. I have been trapped here for so long. I cannot find peace. Emily heart echoed for him. She reached out a trembling hand, and to her surprise, Samuel's cold fingers brushed against hers. Their connection was undeniable, transcending the boundaries of the living and the dead. Overnight, Emily and Samuel formed a bond that defied reason. They spent hours talking, sharing their hopes and fears. Samuel revealed the truth of his disappearances, a sinister plot by Julius townsfolk who had conspired to keep him and Abigail apart. Part 3. The confrontation. As Emily's connections with Samuel deepened, so did her understanding of malevolent forces that had kept him trapped in a value house. The townsfolk had been part of a dark cult, one that worshipped a malevolent entity that thrived on suffering and death. Abigail's desperate attempts to communicate with Samuel had inadvertently drawn the cult attention, and they had cursed the house to keep his spirit imprisoned. Emily knew that if he wanted to free Samuel and put an end to the hunting of Willow House, she had to confront the cult and their evil deity. With Samuel's guidance, she began to prepare for a final showdown. The cult members were exclusive and well protected, but Emily was determined to unravel their secrets. The unearthed hidden tunnel beneath the house that led to subterranean chamber, a sanctuary where the cult conducted their dark rituals. Armed with her newfound knowledge, Emily descended into depth of earth. The chamber was bathed in a airy crimson light, and hooded figures chanted incantations in a language that sent shivers down Emily's spine. As the center of it all was a grotesque idol, a monstrous entity that writhing tentacles and a hunger of soil. Emily knew she had to act quickly. With Samuel's help, she disrupted the cult and rituals, and the chamber trembled with a surge of power. The cult members shrieked in terror as the entity that had worshipped turn on them, its tentacles ensnaring them one by one. As the chamber collapsed around her, Emily and Samuel made their escape. The malevolent entity, weakened by the destruction of its cult, could no longer hold Samuel's separates captive. With the final burst of energy, he was free. Part 4. The Aftermath. Emily and Samuel emerged from the collapsing chamber, and the ground above sealed itself, bringing the horror of Value House forever. The town of Harrow's Valley was never the same after that night. The cult's member had vanished, and the hunting of Value House ceased. With Samuel by her side, Emily found the love and acceptance she had always longed for. They left Harrow's valleys behind, seeking a fresh start in the world where their love could flourish. The memory of Value House and its hunting reminded echoed in their minds, a reminder of darkness that could lurk in the most accepted places. But as they walked away from the past hand in hand, they knew that together they could face any challenges that lay ahead.